we're sisters, and we decided to make a channel where we go through the minimalism journey together.
So I started my minimalism journey maybe 6 years ago when I had little kids and was becoming very overwhelmed with parenting, and I started reading some books about minimalism to try to figure out how I could make my life a little bit easier. And it took a few years for me to figure out what worked for me, because at first I was just organizing, but once I really zeroed in on minimalism as letting go of the items so that you don't have as much to organize and less to clean and less to manage, that's when I started to really make...
And less to buy containers for.
Yes. Less to repair, less mental stress, less physical clutter, less, decision fatigue, all of that. That's when I started to feel like I was empowered to be on top of my motherhood life.
And so we are both wives and mothers of 3,
Right.
each. We don't share them. Leah is several years down the line from where I am.
Much older, in other words.
Leah is 9.5 years older than I am, and her youngest is 4 years older than my oldest. So she's in a different place parenting-wise, and she's in a much better place minimalism-wise, but I would definitely say you were in a worse place before.
Absolutely.
Definitely a shopaholic. You kind of
Totally.
always have been.
Absolutely.
Why don't you go through your history and your saga?
I've been married for 17 years.
Whew!
Yeah, 17 years I've been married. It's been a good life. But when I had my first pregnancy was a twin pregnancy, and my identical twin daughters are now 13. So
They're closer to 14.
They're getting close to 14. It's crazy. They were premature, and I was very overwhelmed, even though I was pretty confident about parenting twins that were preemies was very different. I found out I was having twins at 20 weeks when I had my ultrasound. I thought I was going to find out if it was a boy or a girl, and I found out it was 2.
And then they came.
Unknown genders, and then they came early.
Came how many weeks later after you found out?
I went into labor 13 weeks after that ultrasound. So it all happened really quickly, realizing we had twins. And we also live in a really small house. We still live in the same house. Our starter home became our permanent home.
How many square feet do you think?
1,300 square feet. So, all that to say, one of the things I started doing to cope with the stress of parenting is I started shopping. I mean, I have always been a big shopper, especially a bargain shopper, a bargain hunter, but shopping became a vice. Like, it was out of control.
Well, it's really a way to feel like you're regaining control of your life.
And it was a way for us to get out. I could take the girls shopping. They were pretty happy in the stroller at the store. They were pretty happy going to Target.
I was 14 when they were born, and a lot of my memories with them at that early age were shopping with you.
Yeah. We just didn't have the space. We didn't have the need. The finances weren't really an issue, but I was spending money unnecessarily. So what I was doing for a while is I was shopping deals and then reselling the stuff I got. So I was making some money so that it wasn't like we were going in the hole. We were not going into debt for my shopping. Mm-hmm. So that's how I justified it. But in retrospect,
because a lot of people do go in the hole.
That's how I justified it. When I finally started to come around to this completely different mindset, I realized that the bottom line was the way, like, my philosophy on life, the way I truly feel about what is important, what values I value, is not how I was living my life.
And I've definitely had a lot of that as well through the years, not just with just with a lot of things, becoming an adult, getting married, having kids. You start to realize how your values are not always aligning with your actions or your lifestyle. And I think as an adult, I've had like slow realizations of different parts of my life that are like that, and tried to take steps to correct it, to align your belief system with, or to align your actions with your belief system.
Right. So that was, for me, it was a very slow evolution of trying to really, like, at first I started just trying to organize, because I always wanted my house to be clean. That was always something that was important to me, and I spent so much time cleaning and organizing and straightening up and picking up But I never addressed the issue of the fact that we were bringing too many things into our home.
And I have a lot of guilt even now. I mean, I'm just now starting. I've done a sweep through a couple of years ago, but I have a 4-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 5-month-old, and we've moved like 6 or 7 times in the past 6 years since we got married. I know that I should have more time to spend with my kids, and so much of that time is spent either spending time with them feeling guilty that I'm not cleaning the house, or just not spending time with them because I am cleaning the house in ways that it's just too much time. I shouldn't have to be spending that amount of time either cleaning the house or thinking about cleaning the house, because it's never done.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is because most of it is because of the amount of stuff that I do have.
And I've spent so many years just constantly cleaning and being angry that it still wasn't done. And that is because we just had too much stuff to maintain. So once you get down to a more simple, like if you're really thoughtful and intentional about the things that you do keep and the things that you do buy, then maintenance is a much more real possibility. Like it's attainable.
I don't even think about maintenance because I'm not even there yet. Everything is so chaotic all the time that it's not even about keeping it up. It's about how do I even get there to begin with.
Right.
But let's back it up. Let's
Right.
go back to our origin story as
Right.
sisters, because so there's a 9.5-year age gap. When we moved to this house, this is our parents' house, we're visiting.
Yeah.
When we moved here, I was 1 or 1.5.
I think you would have been, 18 months.
So
Yeah,
she was
about
almost a
1.5.
teenager.
Right.
And we, at that point, I think immediately started sharing a room.
Right.
And we shared a room until I was 8 years old, and she went to college and never came back. She got married.
I visited.
What state would someone walk into our room and find at any given point?
Oh, so I was not giving her a healthy environment for a child to live in. I was a really big slob. I mean, I am still a really big slob. Like, I'm naturally a slob, and I would call myself a recovering slob, in that I'm constantly trying to overcome my slovenly ways.
Well, that's something I
So-
mentioned in the video when I did the video of myself with all of my clothes that I owned in the whole world in the guest room. I said, this is pretty bad, but this is actually just about probably better than my room used to look on any given day.
You're
Set me
set
up
you
very
up.
poorly, so I don't
Right.
even
I
know how
agree.
much of it is like natural for me or not, but it didn't occur to me growing up that there was no space in my mind for having order or having like a space for everything to go in.
Mm-hmm.
There was always books, clothes, and dolls,
CDs, I'm sure.
and every night it was like you'd have to clean off the bed before you went to bed.
Get to bed. Yeah, I hadn't thought about this time in a while, so I'm feeling kind of awful. I would just the room would get really bad, and then I would have a massive clean out, and so I'd have these cycles of just junk and everywhere.
I don't remember
and then
ever maintaining.
never
my room.
having daily.
It was always just like
daily maintenance.
living in chaos,
Mhm.
and then it would get so bad to where we couldn't live
Right.
anymore, and we just would do a major thing.
Right.
So it was stressful to live in, and then it was stressful to
Yeah.
clean.
Right.
It was like a huge event.
I don't think it was ever filthy though. Just
It wasn't
clutter.
dirty.
It wasn't dirty. We weren't living in squalor. It was
No.
just clutter.
We just had too much stuff. There was a lot of stuff that you left because you thought I might want it, or I guess you
Right.
didn't want to address it at the time. And I have been out of the house for probably about 7 years, and I still think there is at least a drawer probably that I haven't been through. It's taken this long, and it's just been the
by
past
little.
year probably that I cleared out the last of it. That's where we came from. We came from a room of chaos. That's like early years. And she's come a long way. And I married someone that I thought was going to be a lot more minimalist naturally, but that's what was advertised to me. But turns out we're both pretty bad. So we're both working on it, and Leah's going to help me get there.
But I want to say also for everyone to know that Caroline is a lot more intentional about shopping, like dramatically, and you are a lot better about, like, how many pairs of shoes do you own? that you
More
wear.
than I want to own, I think, is probably 5.
But you only wear like, yeah, that to me that's very minimal. And also you're so much better
Might
about
be 4.
like zero waste. She knows a lot of stuff about zero waste and just being much more environmentally aware. She made a lot of steps in that direction that I would like to work on a lot. So
It's a lot easier to do when you don't have as much stuff. Like, I'm already going through that process where I don't want to waste things. Like, I have like 6 bars of soap that just have accumulated, like from hotels, from whatever, that I don't want to waste, and I don't want to throw away money. I don't want to throw away stuff. But as a minimalist, that's one of the problems that I have, is that minimalism and zero waste go hand in hand, but there's a lot of conflict.
Right.
Because you don't want to waste things, and you don't want to have too much stuff in there, and it's like, what do I do? Get rid of my 5 bars of soap and only have 1 bar of soap, because
And-
that's wasteful, and
we were also raised very frugally. Extremely frugally, which
I'm
has
sure
been
we'll be getting into that, because we
Absolutely.
are very good at it.
which has been a wonderful direction. And I love the fact that our parents were like that and our grandparents were like that. I think it was very easy for us to transition into adulthood in a responsible way financially. But I agree that sometimes it's hard to balance frugal living and minimalism. Thinking of our grandparents and them growing up in post-depression era, just the whole feeling like you need
like
to
hoarding
save,
mason jars,
hoarding
and newspapers,
things,
in
everything
the attic.
that can have another use, giving it a second life, hanging on to things that might be helpful. So all of those things, it's just hard to balance everything, and that's why being an intentional minimalist, Joshua Becker, I think, calls it practical minimalism or something, where you just try to balance, and instead of making all these hard and fast rules, you just try to give everything a lot of thought and just be willing to look ahead at what is going to end up. What is the final destination for these things? What's going to happen to them? Am I willing to, follow their life and be responsible for what I'm purchasing? Like, basically just taking responsibility for your purchases.
Yes, which we are Christians. It's
Absolutely.
the most important thing to us is our faith.
100%.
So that's why I care about the environment, because to
Right.
me we need to be good stewards of the earth that God gave us. I think another interesting thing, as far as the way we were raised and the way that we were raised so frugally, it's not like we go on like shopping sprees, but we will do things like we'll go to a thrift store, and we're really good at bargains. We're really good at finding the quality stuff, getting really good deals on them.
Right.
We'll frequently go to super cheap thrift stores and go on 50% off day and just get
Right.
ridiculous deals. But
Yeah.
what happens is that you don't have to think about the consumerist part. It's not like we will tell each other, I need this, this, and this. Keep your eye out. Which is what I would like for us all to do, because
done that
we have sometimes.
but mostly
lot
it's
of the
more like
time,
just
it's
see what
like-
comes to us. Like,
Yeah,
what are we gonna
it's-
find?
If you find a deal that you can't walk away from, and you
Right.
don't need that item, for one thing, you don't have to think about the money, because it's usually like $1. Or you don't have to think about where it came from, if it's
Yeah.
ethical or if it's going to a landfill.
And a lot of times the money is going towards a good
Because-
cause because we're shopping
Right.
at a charity shop.
that
so
has been an issue for us.
it's hard. It's
and
hard.
it's hard because as women we're created to be the caveman, like the
Yeah.
what is it, the forager. We're foragers.
Foragers. I totally
We're like
agree.
berry
Right.
pickers. Like, we're looking for berries to feed our families with. Like, we don't
Yeah.
have to do that.
If this berry's
Thrifting.
90% off, it might
Right.
not be our favorite kind of
It
berry.
might be
but-
poisonous, but we only need one of them. It's not going to kill us. We have a lot of skills, and a lot of them have served us, a lot of them have not. And that's partially something that we're trying to balance more of. As far as this channel goes, I think that I would like to record my journey getting my house from chaotic to manageable, from tornado to peaceful. So what is your goal as far as doing a sister channel together?
I think it'll be fun. But I just think moving towards productivity is kind of like, so instead of just being manageable, because like my house is pretty manageable as it is, but I just want to be able to have a more productive life. The things that I want to do that like I haven't done, like more writing, the less stuff management I have to do, the more time I have for the other things that need to be done. or the things that I want to do. So
right, that's a big thing for me as a mom of a 4-year-old, 2-year-old, and a 5-month-old. I feel like I never have time to do anything, but I do. When I come here, I have time, and it's not just because someone's holding the baby. It's because I'm not thinking constantly about my house and what needs to be done. And the last time we were here for 2 weeks, and I read 2 books, which is the most books I've read probably in years. And it kind of dawned on me, I really do have time to do a lot of the things that I would like to do, and I'm just not prioritizing them. I don't want to live in a house that I feel like I need to escape from.
Amen. It's a good quote. We shouldn't be slaves to our stuff or our possessions.
I want to use them.
Just
I don't
using
want them
them
to use me.
Right, exactly.
We're moms, we're wives. We are minimalist, heading towards there. That is going to be the main focus, at least for now, for the channel.
Maybe some parenting,
some lifestyle, and
maybe some like cooking and just kind of household management tips, because once you cut back on the amount of clutter to a manageable point, you realize you can start tweaking some other things. That's what I've been able to do the last few years, is start tweaking meal planning and tweaking our cleaning schedule and block scheduling. And
other things we can look forward to, probably meal planning, food budgeting.
And I do a lot of research on the things that I do decide to buy. I try to make really informed choices. So I found some products. We both found some products that we love and that I think are totally worth sharing. And some of them are lesser known, have been like a huge help in cutting back on work. Just making everything more simple, like just cutting back on the excess, so that you don't, like you said, you don't have like 15, because I used to have 15 bottles of different cleaners, sprays, all this stuff. Now I have like just 3 or 4 things.
So this is our introduction to our channel. We're pretty excited because I think we've been wanting to do this for a long time. We keep talking about it, and I think it's finally gonna happen. So the more subscribers we get, the more motivated we will be to continue.
That's right, because it's very encouraging and fun, I think, to do things in a group setting, which is why I have my Facebook group for decluttering, and
we'll link it down below.
Sure, why not? Because it's very it helps me to stay on track, to try to help other people stay on track, and it also keeps me honest and keeps me from like going crazy and becoming a shopaholic again. I think my family especially probably thought I was crazy when I started talking about minimalism, because it was so contrary to the way I was living before that.
Well, I think the crazy part is when you start self-identifying.
Right.
And something that the Minimal Mom said, which I've really enjoyed her channel lately a lot, you should start referring to yourself in the way that you intend to be and plan to be. And something she said that stuck out to me this past week in one of her videos was looking around your house as you just go about day to day and say, how would a tidy person approach this? Or like, what would a tidy person do? And that's really stuck in my head. Like, just wipe up the coffee stain. Like, you spilled a drop of coffee, you just wipe it up. Like, what would a tidy person do? Because I have self-identified as a hot mess my whole life.
Right.
You know, we don't identify as clean people.
Because it doesn't...
We're clean, we're hygienic.
Right.
We don't identify as
tidy
people or organized people or any of those things.
Or even efficient or productive.
If we had set ourselves up a certain way, our entire identities might have become different. Like, you never know. So I'm trying to identify myself as, like, I'm trying to change the narrative.
Right.
You've started identifying as a minimalist, and I think that that's important. Say what you intend to be, what you do your best at. So I'm going to work towards identifying as a minimalist, as a tidier person, and I love that. What would a tidy person do in this instance?
And in my opinion, we are better able to share advice as natural slobs.
True.
Because we have had to work through a lot to get to where I've had to work through a lot to get where I am, and I've read so many things about it. I've just had to be very intentional, and it's just been a process. And that is the reason why, rather than hearing from someone who's naturally tidy, Marie Kondo, you want to hear from someone who's not, because we're the ones that have kind of worked through the issues to get to the goal, or we're moving towards that anyway.
We're swimming upstream.
Right. It is a struggle.
Right. But I love watching extreme minimalist videos because it shows me what's possible. But when you are in the place we're in, you need to see people climbing up the mountain. I don't want to see just people like on the mountaintop, you know?
Because they might have been born on the mountaintop, because that just might be the way that they are, which is fine.
nature versus nurture, whatever. Like, we are fighting against our nature.
Exactly. It is really true.
Right. So that's what you're
But
going to
it's
get
possible. It's possible, and we'd like to share whatever tips we can find. And that means for me, doing tons of research and reading. And I've read so many books on minimalism and articles and podcasts and YouTubes. And I think we can kind of disseminate YouTubes. We can kind of disseminate that information in a way that is practical.
We're both moms. We're both very, very different personalities, but we have the same values.
Yeah.
And so that's what you'll be getting. You'll be getting a lot of variety from both of us, but a lot of the same qualities and the same values.
True.
So, like and subscribe, as the kids say. And
that will encourage us to make more content.
Right.
So we appreciate
so
your
it's on you.
watching. We're trusting you with this project. So please encourage us to continue.
So next video should be my closet clean out. And after that, we're going to discuss the emotions and the process of how that went. So
stay tuned.
Subscribe so you can find out what happens in the next episode. We're Caroline and Leah, Khaki and Leah, and this is our channel. Should we wink?
I think we should not.